the community's hatred was with Dreambreaker being higher than, you know, Try Hard and Fabulous. Back in the beginning, when I think they actually initially intended on actually having newer content better than older content, and they tried, I think at the time to actually have something released that was better, because they actually left that one alone for a decent hot minute. Um, but there was so much backlash with it that so many people were angry because in some people's minds, which was funny because I remember specifically talking to some of them that I know for a fact didn't even actually do the quest and run around asking for the items. And I remember their argument being, but Fabulous's quest and Tryhard's quests were harder. And I remember one person specifically saying, but Tryhard had a quest. And I'm like, Dreambreaker also had a quest. You probably don't remember that because you asked for the items to do it, but it also had a quest. And in my opinion, Dreambreaker's quest was harder than Tryhard's. And it was just tedious. But also in the very beginning, it was quite difficult because over half the community didn't have the rod that did solar blaze, the Fang of the Eclipse or Eternal Eclipse rod that did solar blaze. So we had to do it the hard way with spamming eclipses, which made it quite difficult to do. So it was a difficult quest to a degree, but it was also long and tedious. So I mean I would kind of put it on par ish with um with the Fabs to a degree. Fabs the end of Fabs is a little more difficult, but more so it's not hard, it's just tedious. But there was so many steps to do Dreambreaker. So it was still a quest item that was long and tedious and a lot to do for it. And it was way harder to do than fucking, again, in my opinion, tryhards. And it was new content. So therefore it should have been higher and better than tryhard. But because of that massive backlash, then they nerfed it down past tryhard and fabulous. And then since then is when they started nerfing it almost immediately. Within this like a 3-day mark of something being released. And that's where I think they're trying to beat around that bush, but still give people incentive to go do the content. So, because they're walking that line. Because again, so many people in this community, if it's not better than or on par with the top 3 rods, nobody's gonna go do it. But at the same time, half the people doing them run around and go ask for the items, which I do like about this quest because half of this quest you have to do yourself, and they kind of did that with the Blade of Glorp as well. So that was kind of nice, and making it where you physically have to do things and you can't go around asking for shit. But the whole thing is that this is harder than I've heard from many than Polaris. It's harder than the tryhard. This one I would again put up there to a degree with Fab. It's long, it's tedious, it's difficult. It absolutely needs to be up there and stay up there. And in my opinion, be better than tryhard. Now, they already nerfed it down, quote unquote, or buffed it, whichever way you want to look at it. And it is literally sitting identical right now with Fab. And I had stated previously that I think that they're going to nerf it even further after a while, or rebuff Fab again to be above. And I'm not going to be surprised if they actually do that, because That's what they've been continuously doing. Just like when North Pole came out, North Pole was at 10 times multiplier. 3 days in, they nerfed it down to 9.5 and then buffed Fab to be 9.6, so it's just a hair above North Pole. And that was a quite difficult task to complete to get North Pole as well. So we'll see what they're going to do with this, but I definitely think they're trying to beat around the bush and keep they've made it clear that they want to keep Fab and Tryhard above all for shit that I don't think that they should, especially now it kind of defeats the purpose of the main argument that people had about, well, they had quests or that they were difficult quests, in my opinion. Yeah, I like North Pole. It was a fun run. Do I think Maelstrom should get a buff better than Tryhard and Polaris? I don't know if I feel like Maelstrom should get a buff. As much as I think Maelstrom's kind of okay where it sits. I think North Pole should go back to what it was. Because in reality, I mean, while it all tied in to getting Maelstrom, all of those quests leading up to was getting Santa's Rod. And it kind of was how things were prior, which a lot of people used to call garbage rods, trash rods, don't get them. I don't know how many people told me to not buy a certain rod. But again, those are the same people who didn't do the quest, who didn't do, whatever, and asked for the shit to complete their quests. But the rods that I was buying wasn't because they were quote unquote good or would make me money, but those are the rods you needed because they held a certain mutation that you needed to get for a quest for another rod. So a lot of the rods all kind of tied into each other. And that's kind of the way Fishmas did it, is where certain, the rods tied into getting Maelstrom. You needed the Santa's rod with the uh, festive relic to get the serpent, which then allowed you to buy Maelstrom. So I don't feel like all of those quests leading up were technically tied to getting Maelstrom as much as getting Santa's rod, and then Santa's rod is how you got Maelstrom, kind of like the way the other rods led into getting another rod later. So I don't think for what little bit I actually had to do for Maelstrom, I think Maelstrom sits right around where I think Maelstrom sits, and it's pretty. I mean, its stats and the way it runs with the multiplier it has is pretty good where it's at. I don't think it needs a buff. I would like it to go back though to 2 buttons rather than 1. So originally you had to press 2 buttons. You'd use your, okay, so let me swap to it real quick. Oh, I did that wrong. And the community definitely complained about it, and I think it's more so because it was a skill issue. So when you're running Maelstrom and I'm hitting A, that bar up there that gives you your progress, It's like your slash essentially. That was two separate buttons. Now it's all on the same button. So when I'm running it and I'm hitting my A, so for me it's on console, so it's my A. To keep it in the center, it's quite difficult to do that. And if, let's say, my fish bar is clear to the left, it's even more difficult, or anything like that. It's difficult to keep it running properly than as if it was two bars, because if I have it, because sometimes you have to hit, sometimes you have to hold, or whichever, where if it was two bars, I could run my slash bar separately while I'm either tapping or holding or whatever, and still get my slashes in, which is the way it was originally done. Now, people had a hard time running two different buttons, and even on PC, I don't understand how. I mean, it would have been easier on PC than it is on console, because it was A for us and then R1. Whereas on PC, I mean, you got your click button, and then I'm assuming it was probably your middle finger, so your pointing finger or middle finger. I mean, that's pretty fucking easy. I'm not sure why. Okay, your Q. Okay, then that's even easier. So why they had a huge fucking fit about it? But see, the thing is, people don't stop to think when you bitch about something, then they combine it into one, and that makes it even fucking harder, because now you're not actually able to really run it properly and get a full fucking bar off, because you're sitting there tapping on something repeatedly. And depending on where your fish line is going to make it more difficult with all on the same fucking button. So sometimes people don't stop to think when they bitch. I liked it way more when it was two buttons, and it was a very unique skill or ability to a rod that we haven't had an ability like that in before. So that was really cool, and I kind of miss that. I think it's a skill issue or a lazy thing, to be honest. But people, again, don't stop to think when they bitch about something that they might come back with something that's more difficult.
I might give up on the resin and go for string instead for now.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what I was thinking. But yeah, I mean, I like the Maelstrom. I think it's a really good rod for in my opinion, the only thing I had to do was catch a serpent, which I know a couple of people that it took. I think the longest I know that it took for somebody was 6 runs, which still isn't that bad. And for me, I got mine on my first try. Sadly, fucking sold it. Actually, I think it was you that I was trying to help. When I sold my serpent. But I got my serpent the first run. Cloud, I think, was what, three runs in? 4?
5.
Okay, 5. I know Solistic, I think, was 6 runs in. But I don't think the stats on it are bad for what little you did specifically for it. And you got quite a few cool little rods out of there. Santa's rod isn't bad. I honestly, to be quite frank, as in a whole, I think all of the Fishmas rods, stat wise, was a letdown. Like, they weren't as cool as, honestly, Fish Fright in any way, shape, or form. I think all of Fish Fright's rods were vastly better, cooler abilities, cooler passives.
Oh, there's a frostworm hunt.
Um,
There's a frostworm. There's a frosty.
So I feel like it was kind of a letdown down on that front.